As you can see here, we're going to take and season our steak first, and usually I use Snyder's seasoning. It's really good stuff. It's great on steaks, great on roasts. And so we're going to season the steak, and then we're going to, I like to throw a little garlic on there also. And then I'm going to rub it in. Nice good rub. Flip it over. Of course, do the same to the back side. Once again, rub it in. Get it nice, good and coated. And then I'm going to go and throw it into a bag. And you'll see here why I throw it into a bag. Once I have it in the bag, and first I'll get rid of the container that the steak was in. I'm going to throw a little olive oil into it. Just give it a little, you want to put a little fat in with the steak. Gives a good flavor. And then I'm going to shake it around and rub the olive oil all over the steak. And now we're going to go off on to step number 2. This is a Nova precision cooker, and it basically allows you to do sous vide cooking. Sous vide is a French style of cooking. It's basically cooking your meat in a water bath. The food actually never touches the water bath. And right now I'm setting it for 129 degrees. It's already started. And igloo coolers make great things for doing sous vide in. Once it gets up to temperature, then we'll put the steak in the water bath. Okay, now that the water bath is now up to 129 degrees, which is perfectly medium rare, the internal temperature of the steak will be perfectly medium rare with this. We're going to put the bag in the water bath. Make sure you do not submerge the ziplock bag if that's what you're using, and not a vacuum sealed bag all the way in. I've had problems with ziplock baggies leaking. That's why I usually double bag them when I'm using them in the cooler. So what we're going to do is we're going to use the submerge method to it. I'm going to leave a little bit of opening, or the bag a little open at the top, and I'm going to submerge that in the water, and this will create a vacuum around the meat. And I'll keep doing that until all the air is out. Trying to get it as low as possible you can in the water without actually spilling water into the bag. Once that's done, I will zip it back up. And then, now that it's zipped back up, I'm going to go ahead and actually attach it to the side of the cooler. This makes it so that the bag does not fall down completely in the water. Like I said, I've had problems with Ziploc bags leaking. You can use a clip or anything to attach to the side of the cooler. One of the reasons why I use a cooler is because it doesn't stress the motor out. and the heating element, because the insulation keeps the water bath pretty warm for long periods of time. So now that we got this going, you can cook it for about an hour. It takes about an hour for it to cook, or longer. The longer you cook it, the more tender the meat will be, but it will still be medium rare inside. Okay, once the meat is cooked, we want to give it the Maillard reaction, which is basically, it's a reaction that breaks down the amino acids, causes caramelization, and basically gives the meat a nice flavor. It's not that the meat is not cooked or not, ready to consume right now. You just want to add some flavor to it. Being that we're in a hotel room, it's a little hard. My suggestion is to do this in a well-ventilated area by, like, what I did is I turn on the shower, for instance, close the door, because you don't want smoke getting out. But the first thing you want to do is you want to pat dry the meat. So you pat dry the meat. I'm using a regular paper towel. You want to do both sides of the meat. And see, I'll flip it over here in a second, and then I'll pat dry the other side of the meat. Once it's sufficiently dry, and believe me, this meat is really juicy still, even though I'm drying the outside of it. Now I'm going to use a cooking butane torch. You can pick these up at any kitchen supply place, just to do this, because it's probably the fastest and simplest way to do it. And basically I'm going to cook the outside of the meat with the torch, and you want the blue part of it to be directly on the meat. This allows you to be in precision about cooking that. So I'll go over it with the butane torch and finish it. You'll see the finished product. Here we have the finished meat. I've cooked the outside of it, and as you can see, it's nice and medium rare on the inside of it. Perfectly medium rare. You can't get any more perfect medium rare than this. This style of cooking, again, is called sous vide cooking. It's just basically a water bath, and you cook the meat throughout for a long period of time at a set temperature, and the meat will never get really ugly or boiled or anything like that. It's a great way to cook meat. It keeps the meat really tender, and you're cooking the meat in its own juices. So meat is really juicy. I've cooked hamburgers like this, from frozen hamburgers from Costco, and they were some of the juiciest hamburgers I've ever had, cooking it like this. So this is how you cook a steak in a hotel room.